And we have in the studio Rise News analyst Frank Tietie and Professor Adeniyi in the studio to really take a look at the developments as it concerns politics in Nigeria, especially as we look forward to the 2023 general elections. Well, Adeniyi, I want to actually start with you really tonight. I want to start from top because so many stories there. The fact that the NLC, that's the Nigerian Labour Congress, for now, they said they've not really officially come out to say that they are endorsing Peter Obi, but we know that they've been meeting. And, I want to look at the fact that Peter Obi says he is going to remove subsidy if he eventually emerges as president come 2023. The NLC, we know, is against the removal of subsidy. So the balance in this particular big issue, which consumes bulk of the revenue we get in the country.
Yeah. Well, I think we are in interesting times where we're going to start seeing a mixed bag of politics and politicking, politics, governance, and campaign, as the case could be. And of course, it's a time where politicians will also have to juggle their thoughts, juggle their ideas, before they probably chart new frontiers for themselves, refine their programs. At these early times, we're going to be seeing contradictions. But what I expect them to do before the election, of course, consistent with what we've been arguing around the need for them to dwell on issues, is for them to be definitive on what they're going to do with the vexed question of subsidy. And of course, arguments have been made, rightly so, that it's not an expenditure that can continue ad infinitum because of declining resources and because of the increasing need to put the resources into something else, something much more productive rather than not allowing market forces to determine the price of PMS. So I see a president that will be coming in. I expect that president to be courageous enough to take the bull by the horn, and of course resolve it by removing it. But in removing it, there has to be some mitigating measures, so to cushion the after effects, of the removal of subsidy. That's what I think somebody as forthcoming as Peter Obi, that's what I expect him to do in this circumstance, given the fact that he's been very engaging, he's been very volunteering when it's about issues, Going forward, we should, not just him, not just Peter Obi, for instance, some of the other aspirants, Vice President, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, I beg your pardon, Shiwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu as well. We need more discussions around issues, particularly on the vexed matter like subsidy, like I said. But at the moment, I think, it's going to be a question of juggling the positions, but maybe nearer the election, matters will be crystallizing more. And after the election, whoever wins, we expect them, to focus on implementing things that they've agreed upon, prior to the elections, as the case could be.
Well, okay, let me come to you in our off-site studio, Frank Tietie. It looks obvious that most Nigerians, if not all Nigerians, would want the regime of subsidy to be finally laid to rest. But the NLC isn't really taking a position here. That's according to the APC. Why are they, tongue-in-cheek about what most Nigerians are calling for its removal, the removal of subsidy? Frank?
Thank you. Leadership is not it's not Tea Party, and the Labour Party should learn to take responsibility for taking over the ownership of the Labour Party. Doesn't matter whether a free market economist like Peter Obi is now its presidential flag bearer. The whole concept of a Labour Party, it's a people party, a workers' party driven to promoting workers' ideology. So it's easy to go on strike to truncate the economic stability rather than taking over political power and determining the political direction of a country. So the Labour Party should not dilly-dally and filibuster about its responsibility with regards to supporting, the NLC should not fail in its responsibility in supporting the Labour Party. As for the regime of subsidy, Kingsley Moghalu was on Arise Prime Time and broke it down. Even members of the NLC don't believe in the corrupt regime of the application of subsidies in our country. They've always been afraid that it will affect issues like transport. Well, Kingsley Moghalu, brilliantly explained that there can be target subsidies in certain sectors of the economy. And nobody thinks that Peter Obi, with this highly populist movement that he is leading, would want to inflict such kind of pain on people by the removal of outright removal of subsidy. There is no doubt that with the reference to William Ruto, who, after a few days of being sworn in as Kenya's president, immediately removed the subsidies, and heavens did not fall. So there is a general consensus that subsidies will be removed, but nobody, including nobody, should blackmail NLC against supporting Peter Obi over the issue of subsidy. Subsidies will have to be removed. They have to be removed. In fact, almost immediately. However, it cannot be an issue. Labour Party is slacking. I mean, NLC is slacking in its support for Labour Party.
Right. Well, Frank, we'll come back to you, but let's quickly touch base with the People's Democratic Party. And Abiodun, I want to bring you into this conversation right now. Yes, we have seen that list when it concerns the campaign council, even though we're waiting for that official announcement, especially by the presidential candidate himself. After all of these people are supposed to work for him. But yes, we have seen Udom Emmanuel really appreciate the presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, for making him the chairman of, the campaign. But you know what? Let's look at the, position giving around. Yes, the chairman of the campaign, going by this list as signed by Bature, the national secretary of the party. Well, the campaign chairman, Udom Emmanuel from the South. But let's not forget the whole crisis about the fact that the national chairman is from the North. And now looking at the fact that the director general of this campaign council, going by this list, Aminu Tambuwal, governor of Sokoto State, is from the North. Do you think this is showing that the PDP is ready to settle its internal issues, going by this list?
Well, Abaka, I don't think it might be directly related. We need to remember that campaign councils sometimes are merely symbolic. They just are supposed to integrate all our stakeholders, to give them a sense of belonging. At the end of the day, it's going to be very difficult for nearly over 300 people to function on an everyday basis in the campaign office. Maybe a few people will be the ones, taking charge of the daily processes, that the campaign requires, But in terms of involvement, in terms of running the campaign, the fund managers, those who will be in charge of logistics will be the ones really in charge. And it's not going to involve the crowd, and necessarily mentioned. We have names on there, and names of people who are very influential ordinarily, state governors, for instance, who are just listed as members. Earlier on, we would have expected that they would be playing some strategic roles, but they are mentioned only out of respect for them, because of the reputation they have. And do not forget that former deputy Senate president, who is undergoing trial in the UK, is also listed on the. It's also on that list. And what it means is that they just want to be involved. To involve people as much as possible, out of respect for them. But overall, I think PDP still has a lot of work to do, and I think moves are on from what we have learned, but just that we've not had anything conclusive on how they are still going to deal with the crisis of confidence that all evidence points to, are still raging. And that crisis of confidence has to be resolved, other than just what appears to be paper in the crack, in the build-up to the commencement of the campaign. But with the release of this list now, I think it's just a step in the right direction, because the opposing party have gone ahead long before now to name their own council. Moves have been on in the past, and they are now coming in to do theirs. So welcome development. Labour Party is also up and about, rallies across the country, moving their campaign from offline to online space. Now the atmosphere is charging, and of course we expect some more activity going forward.
All right, thanks very much, Professor Abiodun. Very quickly, back to our offsite studio, we'll have Barrister Frank Tietie. Can the PDP campaign council be said to just be symbolic, as postulated by Professor Abiodun, and would you say this list is reconciliatory enough, considering the fact that two arrowheads of the agitation for Ayu's removal or resignation are only made members, mere members of the campaign council? Frank?
Professor Abiodun was spot on in that analysis. What the PDP has done is a mere whitewash, a window dressing, trying to be all-inclusive, yet without a very strong team that can deliver a national campaign. The PDP has problems, and it has attempted to in a lame manner, compose this campaign team to seem as if it will produce results. It will not, including the disgruntled elements in the persons of Makinde and Wike in the campaign team. When the crises are very clear, it may not amount to anything. But I will extend beyond what Professor Abiodun says when he meant that the campaign team of a political party at the national elections may just be symbolic. Not necessarily. It is important that I rather think that the campaign team of this is supposed to be strategic. The unity of such a campaign team is meant to deliver quick wins for a party. But in the case of this campaign team that is put together by the PDP, it's more of a woeful expression of a party that has not put its act together, that has not been able to resolve its crisis. I maintain that the PDP is not yet ready to tackle this election in the way it is treating this crisis that is facing it as a result of the dissatisfied politicians from the southern part of Nigeria that are members of the PDP.
Right. The coming days will be very interesting, especially as we look forward to the 28th when campaigns will officially kick off. Barrister Frank Tietie, Abiodun Adeniyi, gentlemen, thank you for your in-depth analysis tonight. And time now for a quick break. When we return, there will be more, especially from the political scene. Please stay with us.